Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about models of speculation, and I'm going to be showing you how to use models of speculation to talk about past situations. Now, a couple of months ago I released a video where I talk about models of speculation in general, and so if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend that you watch it before you watch this one. But basically in the video I talked about how in English it's possible to use certain modals to express certainty or uncertainty. So for example, modals like must, might, may, could, and can't. And depending on your level of certainty, if you are sure or not so sure, you can use a different model. So, for example, imagine that you're at home and all of a sudden you hear the noise of water outside and you start wondering, well, I wonder what the noise is. And you say to yourself the different possibilities. So, for example, you say, well, it must be raining. Must expresses that you are certain of something. So when you say it must be raining, basically you're saying that probably it's raining. On the other hand, if you say it might be raining, it may be raining, or it could be raining, you are not sure. It's a possibility, but maybe it's a 50% possibility. You are not sure. So basically, it's like saying maybe it's raining. And finally, if you are certain that something is not true, you can use a model like can't. So for example, you would say it can't be raining, which is basically like saying it's impossible that it's raining. And again, when you use models of speculation, typically you use the evidence that you have in front of you to make your deduction. So for example, in the last one, maybe you're standing in front of a window and you can clearly see that the sun is shining. So you say to yourself, it can't be raining. I can see the sun through the window. And in all of these situations, I'm talking about the present. I'm talking about right now. I think or I don't think it's raining right now. So when we use models to talk about the present or even the future, we combine the model directly with a verb. In this case, the verb to be. It must be raining, it might be raining, or it can't be raining. A couple of months ago, I also released a video where I talk about how to use different models to talk about past situations. And again, I recommend that you watch that video also if you haven't seen it. But basically, this is an extension of that. The majority of the time, the majority of models cannot be changed to the past form. It's impossible to conjugate them in the way that we do regular verbs. And so typically what we do is we add the auxiliary have. If you're talking about a past situation, don't use the action verb directly in front of the model. Instead, use the model with have, and then you also need to change the action verb to a past participle, because the only form of a verb that we can use after the auxiliary have is a past participle. But let me give you an example. So for example, what if I weren't talking about right now? What if last night, in the middle of the night, I woke up and I heard the noise of water? And then in the morning, I ask myself, well, I wonder what it was. It must have been raining at the moment that I woke up. So again, we use must, but we don't use the verb directly in front of must. Instead, must, and then we use the auxiliary have, and then finally the verb in the past participle. So again, modal, have, past participle. And it's necessary to use this structure because I'm talking about last night. It's the past. Now, imagine that you are in class and one of your classmates arrives to class and immediately you notice that he has puffy eyes. He looks really tired in general. Well, you might think to yourself, oh, he must not have slept last night. So again, we have the modal must, in this case in the negative form, have, and then the verb sleep, but in the past participle, so he must not have slept last night. And again, when we use the modal must, basically we're saying that probably he didn't sleep last night. Last night, again, indicates that we're talking about the past. Now, imagine a different situation. Imagine that, again, last night I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard a noise in my front door. And I go back to sleep, but in the morning I ask myself, I wonder what the noise was. And then I say, well, it must have been the neighbor's cat. Again, must, have, and a past participle. And this cat is always running around in my front yard, so I am certain that this is true. It was probably the cat. Another situation, imagine that this morning I waved at my best friend, and my best friend didn't wave back at me. She didn't say hello, and in fact, she completely ignored me. And then I start thinking, well, why did she ignore me? Well, she might not have seen me. The structure, again, is the same. Might, in the negative form, auxiliary have, and then a past participle, so seen. She might not have seen me, but in this particular situation, I am not sure that this is the reason that my friend didn't say hello. Maybe she didn't see me. She could have been in a hurry, and this is the reason that she didn't see me. But again, could expresses uncertainty. Maybe she was in a hurry, maybe she didn't see me. I don't know, but it's a possibility. However, the structure remains the same. Could, have, past participle. And now notice that in all of the situations, I use have in the base form. So a common mistake is to conjugate the verb have as has or had. Be careful, the only form of a verb that you can use after a modal auxiliary is a verb in the base form. So it's always going to be have. Now let's look at the final situation. Imagine that you're at work and one of your coworkers has a big project to finish. But when you look around, you notice that he's gone. He went home, he's not at work at all. And one of your other coworkers says, well, maybe he finished the project and he decided to go home. But you say, well, no, that's not possible. He only started the project yesterday and it's a big project, so he can't have finished the project already. You're using the modal can't, so you're expressing that it's impossible that he finished the project. You don't think that he finished the project, but again, the structure is the same. Can't, have, and a past participle. And basically, that's how you use modals of speculation to talk about past situations. It's the modal, have, and the past participle.